Lancang Ancient Tea Wujin. Pu'er ripe tea is the most typical green and naturally fermented tea product in Yunnan. Apart from tea and water, it is not added and only fermented by microorganisms through natural means, reducing the stimulating effect of tea on the stomach and nerves. Pure and good ripe tea has a sweet and mellow taste, full, smooth, and produces saliva. It is rich in healthy ingredients, sensitive to the human intestinal tract, and has a good soothing effect, and drinking it does not affect sleep. Therefore, it is deeply loved by people. Wujin is widely recognized as a good ripe tea, and a representative of top-notch pu'er ripe tea. It appears every 4 years and is highly sought after. Why is Wujin good? Why is it called Chinese pu'er water tea literature? Why was it chosen to receive tea processing and tasting? It is because of the outstanding quality of Wujin, and the formation of a certain style, which takes no less than 30 years. The itinerary of Wujin Wei is a regeneration period based on nearly 60 positions of blue, and 45 years of Lancang Shupu. Wujin has 6 irreplaceable and most unique features. Unique fermentation plant, unique selection of fresh spring water, unique classic fermentation process, unique blending memory, unique pressing process, and unique fermentation plant. The Teapot Spring, formerly known as the Tea Soul Valley Spring Ancient Cellar, is located in Menglang Town, Central Lancang County, Pu'er City, Yunnan Province. It is the production center of Lancang Ancient Tea, and also the core production area of Lancang Unripe Tea. Located south of the Tropic of Cancer, this is a rare low-hill area of the Botsi River, with an altitude of 700 to 1,400 meters. The average annual temperature is 19.2 degrees Celsius, the annual rainfall is 1,624 millimeters, and the annual sunshine is 2098 hours. The sunshine is abundant, surrounded by surrounding mountains, forming a closed area under the high mountain wilderness. Moreover, the extremely stable air environment is particularly suitable for nourishing the unique Weisheng Tea Soul Valley fermentation plant, which has been in use for nearly 45 years since 1979, fermenting hundreds of thousands of tons of pu'er tea. Today, this piece of land is scattered and permeated with the fragrance of tea. The microbial community and fermentation environment here are unique, with thousands of tons of wool. Here, feeding and fermentation, the initial roots of the mountain industry, from the rich microbial community of fairy to the enzymatic decomposition of organic matter, produce tea pigments that release acid and soothe the mind. Pectins and other substances not only enhance the flavor of tea and increase the health function of ripe tea, but also achieve the extreme that is difficult to replicate elsewhere. Wujin Wei's unique selection of materials from the Lancang River Basin, the core production area of ancient trees, produces Wujin raw materials. It uses large leaf ancient tree tea from the core production area of pu'er tea in the Lancang River Basin to ferment and produce lan tea. The Zhangjiang River Basin is a globally recognized core production area for high-quality tea. The raw material of Wujin comes from the core production area of ancient tree spring tea harvested here every year. The content of polyphenols, caffeine, amino acids, and other internal substances in ancient tree spring tea is higher than that of soluble sugars and water extracts. It is also a high-quality raw material for producing high-quality ripe tea. Due to its small quantity and high price, the cost of each batch of fermentation is high, which requires manpower, material resources, and energy. The unique living spring water painting I Divine Brush in Lancang County, with dense river views and Black Hunan Lang River, Mangpa River, Yunnan River, and other rivers of various sizes, such as Nanbing River, crisscross and mix. The average annual precipitation in Wenlong is 1,586.5 millimeters, and the redistribution of surface and shallow groundwater resources provides a natural water source for tea harvesting and fermentation. The mountain spring water used for Wujin fermentation comes from the firm declaration of the Tea House Department, with pure water quality, leisure, and its rich internal substances. During the fermentation process, its promoting effect is to stimulate the innate talent and potential of Wujin. We use live spring fermentation, emphasizing the activity and naturalness of water quality, making transportation more permeable. The unique classic fermentation process of Mars, artificial wadui fermentation of ripe tea wadui fermentation, relies entirely on the experience of tea makers to accumulate the entire process. In addition to measuring temperature and humidity with the assistance of biting tools, the rest relies entirely on a pile of more than 10 tons of tea raw materials, which is manually sprinkled with water and covered by flipping. The fermentation lasts for 60 to 70 days, during which the pile needs to be flipped 10 times, and even more than 10 people work at the same time using uniform techniques. Sprinkling water, flipping and mixing, and making a pile should be done in a loose and even manner. No matter how big the pile is, it must be flipped over at once and closely monitored. The temperature detection of tea water content dissolves clumped tea leaves, and the entire process is intertwined, testing the eyes of the masters to stand up. If there is a slight difference, the taste will be wrong. The fermentation technology of Wujin not only relies on a set of data accumulated from long-term work to determine the degree of fermentation, but also on the experience of experienced tea enthusiasts. Experienced tea makers, after long-term construction in the workshop, have already developed zero taste, smell, touch, and muscle memory. They can capture information clearly through subtle odor changes in the air, knowing when to sprinkle water, when to open windows for ventilation, when to cover blankets, and when to wake up. During this period, Shenping's teachers have been drinking Duizi, drinking it all the way from the early stage of fermentation to the middle and late stages of maturity, and then experiencing the taste of Duizi. From extremely difficult to very difficult to drink, and then to difficult not too difficult to drink, a bit good to drink, very good to drink path, and in the development process, quality issues are stifled in the empty details. Nowadays, after a period of mountaineering, the taste of ripe tea has improved. His muscle-dispersing equipment is also a key value food that reflects the concentration of industrial production and modern fanning in the entire tea processing. Only the total quantity per inch, 1 inch is love, which means that every 2.54 centimeters, there are as many problems as there are. Wood data shows that the finer the logistics intensity, the greater the material intensity. There are two types of screening, round screening and steep screening. Far screening uses planar circular motion, while steep screening uses up and down motion to divide tea into long and short pieces, fermenting tea into thousands of tons of coarse and fine pieces. Okay, the black gold raw material undergoes thousands of rounds of powder sieving with clear traces, evenly selected colors, and the entire flavor is sent to the storage for later use. Tibetan sheep is one of the important links in the formation of black gold flavor. Fermented and screened black gold powder is not immediately made into finished products, but is fed into the raw materials. Keep the moon in a storage facility for 10 years, or even for a long time. These stored and raised withered tears were used in the 1990s, nurturing over 4,000 tons of high-quality sources year-round. After being divided into different mountains, they were classified and stored according to different levels of fermentation in different years at different mountain peaks, laying a solid foundation for the next step of blending. Through high standards and professional management of temperature and humidity control and dry storage, the raw material of Wujin is tamed and purified in a unique environment, gradually annealing and eliminating dryness, becoming smooth and pure, and ultimately becoming a superior raw material for blending various flavors. Nowadays, the technology of inheriting and blending seemingly simple, but actually the most difficult and troublesome is to pay attention to the brewing process of a company's tea, including the core process of micro-product matching, which is where the quality and taste of Wujin lies. Wujin Studio stores thousands of ripe tea heads, thousands of semi-finished products, and the technology of each single batch of products, recording the new generation in every colorful and endless way. Today's beauty needs to go through the process of selecting the initial formula, determining the popular formula for soup making, adjusting the shape, etc. Hundreds of carefully designed nearly 1,000 anti-city designs, optimizing over 1,000 tea samples for different batches of discussions, and finally blending them into an amazing and unique pressing process. Old people write molds. The unique flavor of Wujin in the county town is not something that can be achieved overnight. From high-quality raw materials and complex craftsmanship to a simple elongated mold, it is necessary to tailor the compression of Wujin, with specially developed optimal compression and drying techniques. The molds of Wujin must be made of iron molds. The length, width, height, and duration of the molds need to go through hundreds of adjustments and dozens of pressure tests, ultimately determining the old qin that has been used for nearly 20 years in the Enlightenment. He is like an old man who has gone through years, with dark and profound characters on the streets. He is a witness to the fleeting years of today, giving a story of black gold time. The simple responsibility of time is to drink water, but now it is not dangerous. There are 32 Lushan mountains in the United States, 459 of which have thoughts, and 1811 signs of morality. From 2009 to present, a unique fermentation environment and microbial community have been formed. On this day of nature, with favorable geographical conditions and people possessing the exquisite fermentation agents of mountains, springs, fire, and water, there is no one else to come, and the technical team has practiced for more than half a century. Through thousands of collisions and combinations, Baiwei has fully demonstrated the legendary quality of blending and creating black gold. You are the birthplace of the world's tea gardens, nurtured by the sunshine, rain, and dew of young people, nurtured by the sincere craftsmanship of craftsmen. It is a decoration of a black chicken that happens to be a second-best work by chance. It is magnificent and transparent, and I believe that the unique caramel aroma of the soup fills the water with rich sorrows. The mature ancient trees reflect the fragrance of chateau sandalwood, and the character engraved together with the continuous delay festival. The spiritual tranquility guided by dreams is dedicated to those who are close to the inner quality.